Hey guys, Youngblood with you for another episode of Exploring the Starmap, this time focusing in on the Banu system of Yulin. Now with this being an alien system, we don't really know much about the history leading up to the discovery of this place yet, but that being said, we do know that the Banu tend to be very commerce focused, mainly ruled by confederated systems and guild leaders that are representing different areas of business. In general, the Banu don't care that much about laws, but they care more about how different events are going to impact their business that's being conducted, and that's when you start to see intervention from their combined forces taking place. A system like this, which has become sort of a hub for Banu tourism with lots of entertainment and potential for revenue, will no doubt be ruled much in the same way. I think knowing this, Yulin suddenly becomes a very interesting location for those that are interested in doing bounty hunting and other mercenary types of roles, because the Banu here may not be fully equipped to take care of those sort of actions on their own, but they certainly have the money available to pay those that are trying to negatively impact business being conducted, or pay for those people that are going to, attack those that are impacting their business negatively. Yulin is a bit like a space Las Vegas, being a hub for gambling, vice, and sport, all of which are bringing in big money for the Banu, and that's the way they like it. Now you're going to see an interesting mix of people and races here, but most are either going to be here looking to spend credits on interesting activities like Sata Ball or racing or gambling, or you're going to have those that are looking to take advantage of those people that I just mentioned. Yulin's star is a yellow dwarf, a lot like Sol, and is a similar age to our star. The first planet in the system is Yulin 1, and much like the majority of innermost planets, we see that this is an iron planet with no atmosphere and a burnt-out core. It was mined a long time ago for a while by the Banu, which means that the planet isn't really of much use to anyone at this point, and its featuring characteristics are really mining scars and crater pot marks from just years and years and years of impact. Yulin 2 is a really interesting planet, but not because there's much in the way of opportunity for you to earn credits. It's interesting because the planet has a rainbow type of atmosphere that people love to look at. It's so attractive that this small and dangerous planet that can't even be inhabited or terraformed was the location of the most famous Sata Ball arena created in the universe. The Beloy arena was created to overlook this location for an interesting backdrop to the sport that the Banu have really come to love. Now between Yulin 1 and Yulin 2 is what's known as the Yulin Flotilla. Most Banu systems have a flotilla, which is really kind of a collection of ships and stations that are the primary commercial areas for different clans and species to trade at. The reason for these isn't that there aren't planets that this could take place at, but probably more tied to Banu culture and the nomadic trading nature of their business, and why ships like the Merchantman with their negotiation decks that are overlooking the goods is so important. Now these flotillas are going to be places that you're going to want to go to buy and sell in Banu systems. The Yulin Flotilla in this system is really known for vice and commerce, and is the home to a clan of counterfeiters. Now in Banu culture, counterfeiting isn't really looked down upon, because skill in any craft is really admired. But that being said, these particular counterfeiters here have gotten a little bit sloppy, which has created some hostility between them and the Sata Ball guild leader, because they're selling poor quality tickets to people that are ending up getting caught at the door. Now, if the tickets were of good quality and the people got into these events without incident, there would be no problem here. But the impact of business and the reputation is the core driver in why there's issues between these two guilds. Now, I don't know how serious this conflict is, but if it's escalating, some clandestine activities may be authorized, or, those of you that have mercenary mindsets may be able to make a buck doing some work for either side here. Along with that, the Banu are likely to value information more than actual violence, so I think herald pilots who are able to steal information and take it to the other side may see a lot of really good opportunity in that conflict. Yulin 3 is a popular destination. It's almost a resort world, but with that in mind, that only really applies to the Banu. It's hot, it has an ammonia-based atmosphere, the oceans are dark brown liquid ammonia, and all the vegetation is black. The pressure from the planet is also very, very heavy. All of these things combined make it lethal to a human, but the Banu are a bit tougher and their anatomy allows for them to survive and treat this like a tropical resort. The Banu aren't ones to exclude anyone though, because that means their target audience is lower and then so are profits. So they've constructed safe spaces for humans to actually come and stay here, and they're located in what they claim to be the more beautiful areas of the planet. And that means that humans can come here, stay here, they can explore through these domes and see what this place is all about. It seems like a really interesting place to go. I'd probably highly suggest everybody checking it out. That being said, the price to stay here is going to be high, but interesting nonetheless. Knowing that the Banu are able to live in an environment like this probably means that they're a lot hardier than we are, and probably has some interesting implications if you ever get into sort of a fist fight with a Banu. Yulin 4 is a dusty planet. It's covered in interesting rock formations of varying shapes that have been created by wind, erosion, and tectonics that I imagine almost look like an extreme version of some of the Utah rock parks. While human scientists love this place because they want to get in and study the geology here, the Banu use this as a racetrack. So exploring and studying here is hazardous and it's almost not allowed. So the scientists almost have to sneak in when there's lulls in the action. The Banu are more focused on entertainment and income, so they don't really care about the scenery here, and occasionally they do end up crashing into these formations and destroying them, which is sad for the scientists. I do think that this would be an interesting location for those of you that are looking to compete in racing, but also hearing about crashing, I think for those of you with crucibles may find value in coming here to do repairs for ships that are damaged but not fully destroyed. Additionally, racing tends to require fuel, so Starfarer pilots could come here to help sell fuel at a premium cost to those that are in need. All of that applies to the Yulin asteroid cluster that's in this system as well. It's a densely packed asteroid field that the Banu have really been using to test their racing ability as opposed to more traditional mining that humans would do in a system like this. Hearing that we have a dense field, that probably hasn't been mined all that much. I think there's a lot of good opportunity to get in here with some mining ships that could net you some good money. Though you're probably going to be paying some fee to the Banu guild that oversees mining in this area. Now, they don't mention this specifically as a mining location, but knowing that resources are in asteroids and the Banu only really care about commerce, I would have to imagine that this is going to be a good mining spot and one where you could probably get a permit to do so. I also hear dense, and I think that the Orion may do well in the exterior of the cluster, but something like a prospector would probably be doing very well to get into some of the more valuable stuff and some of the harder to reach locations. Yulin 5 is an ice giant, much like Neptune in the Sol system, with an atmosphere composed of carbon, nitrogen, and hydrogen, with a methane, water, and ammonia mantle, and it's got a rock and water core. Now, there isn't much to do here yet, outside of some seeing some interesting weather patterns and some very impressive winds that take place around the equator. So this may end up being an interesting place to try and set some speed records, but honestly, there's not a ton to do on this planet. Yulin 6 is the outermost planet and is a gas giant with an almost pure hydrogen atmosphere that would make this an ideal location for people that are wanting to farm fuel in a Starfarer, especially knowing that this system as a whole is going to be a popular tourist destination with lots of people that are going to need to travel distances to leave on their trips, or people that came in and their fuel tanks are low. It is worth noting, though, that the Banu around these parts are mostly those who have escaped beef with the local clans. And while they're not necessarily looking to harm you, they're still Banu, who are going to want to capitalize on opportunities in any shape or form. So you do need to be prepared. And with that in mind, I think for those of you that have military ships, you may find escorting Starfarers to this location would be a good career move. Or those that are interested in bounty hunting may find good bounties out here on the edge of the system to return back to the clan leaders. Yulin has only 2 jump points, connecting it to other systems, including the human system of Banshee and the unclaimed system of Lear. Now, Lear is mostly populated by humans, and that connection to Lear is the one that I find particularly interesting because it mainly houses outsiders from the UEE, and the UEE has mostly stopped governing that area. So it's a hub of outlaws, meaning that there's going to be good bounty hunting available there, or that Lear could be a good place for pirates to stage run into the Yulin system with a place to fall back to. Lear's also known to be resource rich, so if you're able to stay protected, you could certainly do mining and collecting in Lear, and then return back to Yulin to sell to the Banu, who obviously love to trade. Overall, I see a ton of opportunity in Yulin for those that want to trade, bring supplies for travelers, do mining, do bounty hunting, piracy, racing, buying and selling unique items, and a whole lot more. It's a wealthy system with lots of chances to make credits, so it should be on your list of locations to visit and see what you can end up accomplishing here. So that's this episode of Exploring the Star Map. If you have questions on any of this, please let me know. Otherwise, stay tuned. There's going to be several more systems with more lore that have been released since I last did these videos, so I'll be going through those and getting you that information that you want to know. So thanks for watching. Have yourselves a wonderful day, and take care.